I would say it pretty much falls into three categories, and lots of them will fall, into all the different types of guests usually follow into these three guest types. So one is contractors, two it's leisure guests, and three it's corporates. And this is where we're going to deep dive into each one of those and to understand how important it is to truly understand each of these guest types, but also ensure that you choose one and have a subset one. So basically, while we're going through this, start thinking about who is my number one avatar, who is my number one guest type. You might have other people from, different. So for instance, for me in my hotel, our number one avatar is contractors. But do we have leisure guests as well? Absolutely, of course. Do we have the odd corporate? Yes, we do definitely have the odd corporate guest, but the whole property is set up for contractors. It is very clear. It is very specific. I'm not trying to be something, I'm not trying to be a multi-generational leisure guest like Trudy just mentioned, where I provide all games and indoor cinema and stuff like that. It's not that. It's just a really lovely, basic contractor accommodation. They're really comfortable. Everyone loves it. It looks nice. It feels nice. It's got everything there, but it's not anything else. Now, those leisure guests will see that I'm not offering anything over and above, and will accept if that's kind of what they want to do, then they'll come there. And likewise with corporates, if I have a corporate, I will maybe add a few things. I may buy some extra, items for the kitchen and stuff like that, depending on what they want. But there we go. Okay, so and within the contractors, I also split that out into three. So you have kind of small businesses, their kind of trades team. You have the second one is kind of like site projects and their contractor teams. And the third one is large scale teams. And then within leisure, I mean, we've talked about, oh, no problem, Trudy. We've talked about that. So you might have city breaks and holiday destinations, and then you've got your corporates. So what is a contractor? So this can be anyone from somebody who's completely self-employed as an individual, or it might be they're hired by the company. It might be that they're just literally doing a specific task, or it might be a massive project. So it really is. And the world of construction is amazing. It can be anything from, and I found this during COVID. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how many just the most random of things that contractors do to keep our country going. I had a lot of them staying in my accommodation, and I also helped fill up everyone else's accommodation in the area. And it literally covered everything, so many different maintenance works, real high, highly skilled contractors. So in fact, 2 weeks ago, I had some contractors staying, and their specific role was to go around all the forecourts. And it must have, and in fact, my husband went there the other night, and I said, "Oh, has it changed?" He said, "Oh yeah, it's changed to a new provider." So these people just go around changing the forecourts. That's specifically what they do. So quite interesting, very specific. You'll be looking at things like they'll be dealing with new developments, infrastructure projects, industrial estates, commercial properties, Asda's, supermarkets, all of those kind of things. Locations that require a real substantial workforce to carry out what I would call specific tasks. So generally, just normal housing estates, they are usually something that can just be built by locals. But as soon as you start requiring more specialized needs, so it might be a new water filtration system, or it might be, as I say, that forecourt thing, it might be updating a supermarket. So I had, for a number of weeks, I had these guys that came around. They were just groups, and they just updated the supermarket going all the way around the country. Amazon, they send the same, well, I don't know if it's the same, but they send teams out to build their huge warehouses. So it's really looking at those kind of specialist ones that seem to go. So yeah, so obviously all of these people are going to need this kind of temporary accommodation. And what you'll find is, and you can just imagine, like we spoke about earlier, when you imagine just how utterly depressing it would be to know that you've got to live in an area for 2 years in a hotel room. I mean, that's enough to drive anyone mad, isn't it? So, what is great nowadays is people are and businesses are considering much more people's, you know, mental well-being, their happiness at work, because it's a bit like schools, isn't it? If kids are happy, they tend to learn more. If you are enjoying a topic, you tend to learn more, don't you? So all of these things are really important. So it may also be that there is a kind of a shortage of you know you know, contractors for that area. So what I'm thinking is, in our local area we are building a film studio. So unless our local council gets on and really starts adding in, you know, educational things in the college and stuff like that, there is going to be a shortage of really technically experienced people for that particular site. So you will know that there's going to be a certain period of time where people are going to have to travel from far away and potentially stay, and whether that'll be short-term rental, it probably will be. So it's all about kind of those specialized skill sets, I would say, that really help you sort of to bring them in. And then also, just as a general for contractors, I'm going to deep dive a bit more into each type of contractor, but contractors as well fall into three kind of behaviors, I suppose, for want of describing it in a better way. And I call them gym bunnies, beer bunnies, or gaming bunnies. Okay, so if you are going to be looking at making contractors your main avatar, then please ensure that your gym is very close to a gym. Yeah, because you know those kind of buff, you know, contractors who want to spend their time in the gym, and that's what they do. They'll either get up early or they'll come home. And for instance, when I had 6-in-1, there was a gym downstairs, and we used to have an agreement that they would get a bit of a discount if they went downstairs to the gym. So that was pretty good. Then you've got beer bunnies. So they're the ones that probably aren't so svelte, maybe not so muscly, and they go to what now my teenage kids call spoons. They go to Weatherspoons or to the local pub, and yeah, they would like it to be clearly in walking distance because they want to have a couple of beers after work. That's their relaxation, and then they want to walk home. And then the final one, and I've had a number of these as well, is the gaming contractors. And I kind of liken that to, they want to be spending hours in a darkened room exercising their thumbs inherently. So do ensure that you have you know, a smart TV as well. Some people do provide consoles. I certainly did not. I did speak to some of my contractors about this, and there's so many different types that all of mine, if they were coming long term, they would often bring their own tellies. So they'd bring these enormous TVs and they bring their own consoles. So I'm a bit kind of like, yeah, I don't offer that much for all of those kind of things. Okay, so just again with contractors, you have a whole host of different ones. And I'm just going to kind of read through these. We kind of struck on it a bit. But it can be anything from engineers, maintenance technicians. So that could include, you know, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, all of those kind of things. Healthcare workers, that is really key. This could be traveling, not doctors, traveling nurses, but just be aware, do check your local hospital if they have their own accommodations. So in one of my areas, they had masses of accommodation. So I rarely had any kind of doctors and nurses staying, but I did have people who were coming to visit, you know, friends and family who were in hospitals. You might have event staff. So yeah, we've had quite a lot of event staff coming and staying. They're really interesting, especially if it's, you know, kind of a long or a big, I don't know, festival, sporting event, because there's often, isn't there, a number of days to prepare. Then you've got the event, and then you've got a number of days to wind it all down. So those are really, really key. And some of them even can utilize, because I'm down south, quite near, you know, ports and things like that. And some of them actually travel down, stay with you for a few days before they then head off to Europe or something like that. So yeah, there's just this whole host of people doing sort of crazy different jobs who might need, you know, your accommodation. And so it's really considering all of these.